Salute to all the subscribers, all the new viewers, all the Patreon members. Thank you guys for your support. Really means a lot. Stay tuned to the channel because we got the homie. He's going to stop by and we're going to do an interview on Monday. Talk about his vacation in Spain. He went to Barcelona this past week, and he's going to tell us about all the fun that he's had, give us some intel, tell us the spots to go to, tell us how the women are in Spain. So we're going to let him come through and bless the channel this Monday, so you don't want to miss that. All right, so let's get into today's topic. So it seems to me that Ayesha Curry is making her rounds again. Actually, old footage of her is resurfacing. So she didn't do another interview. It's just the same interview has been resurfacing over and over and over again. And I feel like I got to explain every couple of months or every year, about twice a year, I have to explain the difference between American women and Canadian women, because they're putting her in the category as like they trying to hold her to the cross as if she's American. She's not American, right? She's Canadian. And me being the person, I'm actually in Canada right now. All right. I've either been living or traveling to Canada since 2019. So for 16 years, I've been in and out of Canada. I can pretty much give you intel on Canadian women, right? I have been for the longest. I've been trying to tell you guys about the mindset, how they're different than American women for years, right? But I understand people are kind of grading her on the same scale as American women because they've never themselves have been to Canada like that. If they have, they slid through. There was an event that they had to go to, they was in and they was out. They've never actually lived and spent time and dated, women or been with women in Canada like that. It's a totally different mindset, right? But, I mean, I'm not standing up for her. I'm just giving you guys information so that you'll understand that if one day you decide to come up here, because a lot of brothers have been talking about Vancouver, I've been talking about, to be honest, I'm going to have to say I was the first black man to come to YouTube talking about Canadian women. I'm not going to say that I was the first brother to go to, Canada dealing with Canadian women, right? I'm the first black man who came to YouTube talking about Canadian women, Vancouver women, and women in Toronto, women in Saskatchewan, women in Alberta. I'm the first one who came to YouTube talking about it, but it's fell on deaf ears because I don't really have the subscriber count. I've never put a camera in front of my face like that. So I get it. My production level is is prehistoric compared to everybody else. Look at me right now. I'm just doing audio, right? I don't really give any, anything. There's not a face to the voice. I don't really give anybody anything to look at. It's I haven't really put in that much effort into YouTube for me to I'm not frustrated or upset about it, but it's the facts. Like I was the first black man to come to YouTube talking about Canadian women. But did I keep it up on YouTube? No, I deleted it because I'm like, okay, nobody's biting this. This ain't the time for it right now. This was back in 2013. So it is what it is. But I've been in Canada long enough to be able to break down the mindset of a lot of Canadian women and show you guys how different they are. But here's the thing, she can get easily criticized just like any other woman. right? She can get it just like anybody else. I'm not here to save her or to cape for her or give her a pass. There's some things I give her a pass on, but I'm not giving her a pass on everything. Like the amount of criticism that she's getting, I'm not against. I'm not against any woman, giving, or I'm not against anybody in general, man or woman, getting the certain level of criticism that they get, especially if they feel like you're disrespecting their significant other. But what I do like is I like how women are calling out Aisha Curry for disrespecting her husband. I feel like this is something new. This it's like, the tide, there's a shift in the water. You know what I'm saying? There's a shift in the air. You know how there's the calm before the storm. You know how you're hanging out, you're out in the woods, you're out in nature, and you're seeing predators and prey run amongst each other away from something, and they're not even trying to eat each other. The predator's not trying to eat the prey. The prey is not even worried that they're running next to the predator, next alongside the predator, trying to get away from a bigger threat. It's like, okay, we're going to get away from this. And when we get to where we're going to, then we'll give you guys a 10-second head start, a 30 Mississippi head start. And then after them 30 Mississippis, then I'm coming to eat your ass, so you better go hide. But we need to get away from this bigger threat that's over here, that's coming. Pause. Right? It could be a beautiful sunny day, no clouds, but there's something coming. While these prey and predators running amongst each other trying to get away from something, it seemed like there's a shift in the air, a shift in the tide. And this is something we haven't seen in either a very long time or if at all ever. Where now women are calling out Aisha Curry. Women are calling out other women for disrespecting their men. Usually to us, from what we've seen for a long time, it's like women shitting on them. If there's a woman shitting on her man, it's like women just kind of laugh at it, right? Or they don't say anything at all. If they feel this, they harbor those feelings inside. But, I've heard somebody else explain this, that TikTok is kind of like a woman's diary. TikTok is like a woman's diary, but to the public, which is kind of weird. I've never really seen this at all ever, but I like it. I like that women are calling out other women's foul behavior, especially if they got a good man by their side that is doing right by them. But at the same time, this is what makes Aisha Curry different when I say that she's Canadian, because Canadian women, they say the quiet part out loud, right? Canadian women, they just vocalize what American women are thinking, right? See, an American woman, the difference between Aisha Curry and Jada Pinkett Smith is Jada Pinkett Smith, she disrespects Will by her actions. Some of her words pierce, but really it's her actions that disrespects Will, right? Some of it's 50. It's like her words and her actions. Where it's like Aisha Curry, there is no actions of her sleeping around with nobody. You know what I'm saying? There's no actions of her posting up, reminiscing, writing love letters, and making AI images of her, or showing old photos and videos of her with exes that have passed away and that are long gone or that have moved on. You still holding on. You know, Jada, you still posting up pictures and videos of you and Tupac. You coming out talking about how much you was in love with Tupac. You slept with your son's friend. And now whatever you did to him, he's moved on with a man. No disrespect. That's his preference. He since then have moved on. But with American women, it's like they feel what Aisha Curry is saying. This is why it's kind of split down the middle. You got some women calling out, and you got some women saying, like, hey, man, what's wrong with her having her own identity and this is that and the third? Nobody said anything was wrong. We thought, you had your own identity when you had your cooking show, when you had your cookbooks, right? And you could have done all that on your YouTube channel, but you went to a network. You didn't really have to go to a network. The networks could have came to you and got you a better deal. So I don't know how that played out. I don't know if she's still doing her cooking shows or not. I don't know what her deal is looking like. I don't know if her contract is in it with that. I felt like she could have done all that on her own with her own production on a YouTube channel, on her own platform, and it would have blossomed and been a little bit more successful. Because I remember, when I was a kid, I used to sit up late at night watching Emerald Lagasse on, I think that's his last name, Cooking with Emerald on the Cooking Network. The Cooking Network, they had a lot of known faces on there, and Emerald was one of them. Right? He had his signature boom, bam. He used to get the crowd excited. Pause. This motherfucker throws spices in a pot, a flame will come out. He'd always used to say bam, boom. Motherfuckers would scream and clap in the audience. Pause. She could have done something like that on a YouTube channel, right? So it's like you did have your own identity. But you kind of centered your own identity around being feminine, being a housewife. One of the things of being a housewife that you could have monetized was cooking. But I don't know where or how she feels about that now, right? But I think that her emotions kind of, like I said, Canadian women, they say the quiet part out loud. Now, she's not out there actively wanting to be a hoe. She's not out there. You don't hear no scandals or whatever. It's just things that are coming out of her mouth. It's like you speak whatever's the first thing that's on your mind. And this is what I've been saying about Canadian women. It's like this scatterbrain. They say what their feelings and emotions feel at the moment. They could be feeling 10 different things that contradict each other at once in that moment. But American women, they kind of know how to be quiet, right? But shit, like when they're on demon time, it's like some women, they don't say what it is that they're gonna do. They don't say, okay, this is how I feel, and I've been wanting to get away from this person, or I've always wanted to do this. Man, if they want to do something, they just gonna do it, right? They just gonna do it. So some of these women, when they hop from rapper to rapper, athlete to athlete, most of the time, it's not a discussion for the public, right? The Brittany Renners, it's like, whatever. The Catch Me Outside, it's whatever because she doesn't have any real talent. You just came up off of a Dr. Phil moment, right? So it's you kind of have to be a little bit ratchet and disgusting and to carry on what it is that you're doing, get on OnlyFans and ride the hood of your car to Levon or whatever his name is. Yeah, you kind of have to do that because it pays, right? This is kind of how you have to keep your name out there because it pays. But once again, Catch Me Outside, she don't talk about the coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're gonna do something disgusting and vile, you're just gonna do it without saying it. It's like by the time an American woman talks about it, it's already been done. You know what I'm saying? Like that red table talk with Will, it's already been done. Cat's been out the bag, and I'm pretty sure Will already knew about it, but you just sat down and did all that for the media, for Hollywood, and for the audience. Yeah, I know Jada's been with this dude or whatever, because I've been over here doing whoever. But to the audience and the image that, you know, and it damn near wasn't even her fault. It was August Alsina's fault. But all the Tupac shit and the other disrespect, that's a little different, right? That's a little different, right? You kind of said the quiet part out loud. You've been in the shadows of this man for a long time. And remember, like what Cardi B said, Cardi B, other men respect the Cardi B respects the business and the covenant of marriage more so. Men respect the business and the covenant of marriage more so than women. Women see another married man, they think that's sexy, they want to go after him, and they go after guys that are pre-chosen. Men don't really like going after women that are pre-chosen. Pause. My bad. Men don't like going after women that are pre-chosen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but the percentage is a lot lower with men, whereas women, that kind of turns another man on. You at the workhouse is another man who he's working for and committed to, and a lot of women think that turns them on. A man that's pre-chosen, a lot of women that turns them on. Men, it's kind of like, damn, she fine. Oh, she married. All right, let me leave that alone because I don't want that to turn around and happen to me. When I get married, I don't want her. I want a man to stay away from my woman if they know that she's married. I don't even want them entertaining a woman if they find out that she's married. Because when I get married, I don't want that shit happening to me. Men that look at that as karma, even though I don't believe in karma, it is what it is, right? So that's why, you know, women like a Jada or an Aisha comes out in frustration because nobody's checking me out. I'm not getting no shine. But what's different with Jada is kind of like, I've accepted that, all right, I'm just your wife. You have this other lifestyle or whatever. We're seeing other people. I'll keep your secrets or whatever. But I mean, this is all alleged from what we've seen and what we've heard, all these rumors or whatever. I'm just speculating. I'm just giving a theory, right? I understand that I've agreed to this. You take care of everything. I haven't been in any movies. I really don't do any work at all. I'm well taken care of, but it's hard for me to kind of find what it is that you have. It's easier for you to kind of get what it is that you want because they see you taking care of me, and that's a turn on for them, right? Whereas like men see you taking care of me, you're connected to me, and they stay away from me. And out of frustration, you come out reminiscing about Tupac, right? You throwing little signals out there because it's like, hey, we are swinging. We don't want to put it out there that we swinging because of this Hollywood image, but that's what we doing behind closed doors. And no matter how I explain it to other people, they still ain't going. They still ain't going for what it is that I'm saying. Whereas like Aisha kind of puts it out there. Aisha, see, Canadian women, they're the voice of all women's emotions. How are you feeling right now? You don't even have to ask. That's just, I'll say everything. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm not hungry, I'm horny, I'm annoyed, I'm bothered, I'm sad, I'm lonely, I'm fulfilled, all at the same time. That's how, that's Canadian women. They'll explain all of that at once to you. And you like, hold up, wait a minute. But people don't know because they're not really too familiar with Canadian women. They just look at her as a high yellow black woman in America. That's it. So I gave her a pass because number one, people didn't watch the interview all in its entirety. So the clips that went around, people dissected the clips, they edited it, and they made her look fucked up. I'm like, she didn't answer it that way. But once again, just like the news and headlines, people only read the headlines and they don't read the article. Whereas like interviews, they only watch these clips because I did my due diligence and I'm like, nah, let me watch this. What podcast was this on? Let me watch this. And when I watched it, I'm like, this was nothing. Well, I wouldn't say nothing like, but this wasn't like the clips. I'm like, oh, the clips were edited. But it's like, it went viral once after she dropped the interview. And for whatever reason, a month or two later, it goes viral again. I'm like, did she do another interview? No, it's the same interview that she did with this woman over here. And the woman kind of seems like, look, I mean, we can't even call certain groups of women feminists. It's just, I think all women today, I think the word feminist is just, feminists and women is just synonymous now. Using the word feminist is kind of like, because I felt like she was throwing her like little feminist, throwing feminist questions from a mindset of a feminist to try to get her to answer certain questions in a certain way. But because that's kind of her stance, and maybe, you know, you kind of bring women into your world and you want her to answer things your own way because I don't know. But she did try to give her an out. Like, hey, maybe in high school there was something there. And if you watch the interview, Aisha did say, see, they didn't play the part where she was like, no, I had a huge crush on him. She literally answered the question how she heard it. Like, no, there wasn't anything there between us. We never kissed or anything. We weren't in a relationship. We didn't go on a date. We didn't go on a date until after high school. But she had a huge crush on him, she said, but nobody plays that from the interview. She was like, oh no, like I had a huge crush on him. It's just I was too nervous. I was scared. I feel where she was coming from. I was kind of like that in high school a little bit. I mean, I don't want to brag. There were a lot of girls that liked me, my height. I wouldn't say I was the best looking, but there were girls. There were girls that approached me in high school. Right? Nobody ugly. Some of these, some of these girls that popular guys were dating or they were trying to go after. They was there was no DMs back then, right? There was AOL Instant Messenger. There were girls like, you know, approaching me in class, on campus. They would catch me by myself. I mean, like if I sat here and told you some of them was like, coy, respect, some of them was just, I'm like, damn, women ain't as innocent as they make it seem. And I knew this since middle school. I remember there was this one chick, she was cute. I liked her. She, but we had never crossed paths with, whatever. But this girl came up to me and was like, yo, what's happening? Like, shit, you fine, like, shit, I want to fuck. You like, damn. I'm like, damn, man, I'm 13, like, but I'm slow. I'm still a virgin at 13. I'm slow. I'm like, damn, man, I'm I'm not even fully developed yet. You know what I'm saying? So when pause, but you get what I'm trying to say. So when she said that, like, no, there was nothing, it's because she was very, very shy throughout high school. And I'm like, I can kind of relate, even though I got played in high school, I was kind of shy. Women always would have to break the ice with me, where it's like she didn't break the ice or the guys didn't break the ice. This woman was just like, you know, kind of just in her own world with her girlfriends, when she was all throughout high school. So I gave her an out, but they didn't play that part of the interview. That's why I say the interview, the way they going in on her, because they start the interview out like, the first thing that she said in the interview was like, I hope we have a good conversation. I hope I don't get in trouble again. But she did. she did. And it's kind of funny, right? But at the end of the day, has this woman now? They did bring up clips from The View, and she should be reprimanded for that. She should be. You should be called out for that, because even though I kind of give her a pass for being Canadian, and I'm like, I understand, because they'll say anything. You like, what? Bitch, did you just say that? And, they'll say one thing at 9 o'clock, then at 9:30, they're crying about what they just said at 9 o'clock. They're a totally different person by 11 o'clock. Then they Mother Teresa by 12. Then they hungry by 12:30. They full by 1:30 and they have a different perspective. Then they get baby fever by 3. Then they want to be choked, spanked, whooped by 6. And they lonely by 8. Right? They don't want to be touched by 9. Then they're sad and crying and want you to do the same thing to them all over again by 10, because you like, okay, well, shit, I'm gonna go in the other room and I'm gonna play some Call of Duty. Now this bitch crying because you stayed in there till 2 o'clock in the morning. It's just Canadian women in general. I would say take American women's emotions and multiply it by two, that's Canadian women. It's just it's on a totally different level. And maybe it's not, maybe they Canadian women, they just say the quiet part out loud. Whereas women in America, I'm not saying that they're that quiet, but they move in a little bit, they're a little bit more quiet how they move, even though they both kind of move the same, right? Because Canadian women, that is feminism. Canada is probably, the word Canada is probably French for feminism, feminist land. Like this whole feminist thing, and because I mean that's a word that's kind of moving its way out of the lexicon because of how women and feminism is synonymous now. But at one point in time, I remember when I first went to Canada, it's like, you know, 2009. I don't remember. Um, I didn't remember feminism kind of being a word that was pushed. That movement, I don't remember it being pushed as heavy. 2008, 2009. It's kind of like I remember a woman who was vocal about feminism. The people kind of looked at her like, okay, damn, what's this bitch problem? You know what I'm saying? Like, but maybe those women were just saying how a lot of women felt, but they was just a little bit more masculine in their approach. And now those women that I thought I was like I thought that everybody thought, okay, what's this bitch problem? This bitch angry, right? That's kind of the average woman in America now. But in 2009, 2008, it was like, you know, Canada, the way I saw how Canadian women were at that time, uh they were like the future of what America is now, in my opinion. When women tried to, I guess it's when women became more vocal in America, how I mean they were always vocal, but it's like especially with during COVID, and you saw how a lot of black women felt about black men, when Kevin Samuels got on YouTube. But even before that, you know, when you saw this, how women were more vocal about their feminism, but the feminist movement, that's nothing new. We go back to the days of Margaret Sanger. That's you're talking about decades ago. I mean, it's always been around. But see, the thing is this new wave, I guess, whatever dates, I don't know what years you would have to focus in on, excuse me, to dial it in. It's like a Canadian woman would tell an American woman, "Oh, you a feminine bitch? Hold my drink. You're not even doing it right. This how you do it." That's Canadian women for you. Bitch, y'all doing it wrong. We started this shit. We perfected it. Well, I'll say, let me take that back. No, we didn't start it. We perfected it. Y'all doing it wrong. You too, you too, you too soft. This how you do it. That's how Canadian women were when I first got. Well, but that doesn't mean that they're not sexually active. You saw that, especially in places like Saskatchewan. Hey, I wasn't complaining at all. Alberta, I wasn't complaining at all. I was getting my fair share. It was way too easy for brothers to, have a stable of women, to have a team rather. And they was perfectly fine with it. It was like, look, I want to be on your team. I know you with my homegirl over there, but I'm trying to be on your team. And I got another girl too. She would love to suck you off. You like, God damn. Like you just didn't, squares just didn't hear that, right? You kind of had to work and put in your bid, but when I was in high school, um, we all goofy or whatever. Girls, there were two moments in time when I had it like that. And that was in high school, and that was when I went to Canada. But when after high school, when I went to Houston, um, that's when you kind of have to, men were thinking about it was like um, cold approaching, going to the clubs and stuff like that. Because at that time, because there was no campus I was attached to, there was no school I was attached to. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university in Houston, right? I'm going off. I'm going all over the place, but Canadian women, my bad. Scatterbrain right now. Canadian women, I'm all over the place. Canadian women, they say the quiet part out loud. Aisha Curry, she is saying the quiet out. She's just vocalizing how women think, vocalizing how women feel. She's not putting action behind what it is that she's saying. She's saying what all women think and how all women feel, right? But she didn't. I don't. Me personally, I only felt like she disrespected him when she went to the red table talk. I felt like that was disrespectful. I felt like it was disrespectful when she went on The View and then she acted like she was taking off her ring or whatever. I thought that was a little disrespect. I think she was trying to be funny, but you're not a comedian. Don't like it was. It was corny, tacky. I don't. Me personally, do I think she meant it? I don't know. Did she deserve the backlash? Yes, sure. I'm not against coming down on Aisha Curry, right? But is she Brittany Renner? No. Is she Aisha Howard? I think that's her name. They got the same name. The one who's going after Edwards. Uh, what's his name? I almost said the wrong name. I can't. I almost because I got another homie. His last name is Edwards too, but I almost said his name. But he passed away. Uh, he passed away. It was tragic how he passed. I almost said my homie that I grew up with's name. Fuck, I can't even think of the brother that plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Edwards, Anthony Edwards. My bad. I almost said my other homie's name. Anthony Edwards. I think his baby mom's name is Aisha Howard. Is Aisha Curry like Aisha Howard? No. Um, is Man, there's so many women who left a dude. It's like I can't even keep up with all the names. It's just that's just how it is. Is Aisha Curry, is she sexy red? No. No. She hasn't put actions behind some of the things that she said. Now, does that give her a pass, an excuse? No. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, does she deserve does she deserve most of the backlash that she's beginning? I think it could be toned down, but I don't think that she doesn't deserve backlash. I think she does deserve it because if a man were to say this about um like a Mariah Carey, these women that women call accomplished, right? right? If a man were to say this about, um, damn, it's kind of hard to point out accomplished women who didn't have the success of a man backing her up. If a man were to say this about, like a Beyonce, right? Look what look what Beyonce's sister did. Look what happened to Jay-Z when somebody closer felt like she was disrespecting her. You got hands put on you in an elevator, right? If you say this about, if Stedman were to come out and talk about Oprah the way Aisha talks, you know, some of the behavior that, man, I feel like nobody gives me any attention, right? He gets all the attention. I had dreams and aspirations of being an actress, and I chose him. And it'll be nice that somebody's looking too. I like to be admired also. It's like, man, nobody looks at you like, well, most people don't look at you like that because they got too much respect for Steph Curry. Now, if Stedman were to say this about Oprah, then motherfuckers would come down on him, right? It's kind of hard to give an example when you got the there's so many women whose names we know is because of a man. I guess women in hip hop. That's all I could say right now. When Offset, it was alleged that Offset was cheating on Cardi B, fucking around with a whole bunch of women. Women wasn't women wasn't jocking that. You know what I'm saying? If you got like a Lotto or a Glorilla or whatever, if they dating somebody, which a lot of women, especially at a higher status like that, they would like to get with somebody of much higher status. But that comes with a certain level of entitlement too. It's kind of like, all right, I respect your grind, but shit, you could tone it down, motherfucker. Like, damn. And even people like a Glorilla, the work was there, but then you contribute her success to like a Yo Gotti. You see what I'm saying? So if there's a woman who put in the grind, no matter if a man elevated her or not, if a woman actually put the grind for somebody to actually elevate her, and there's a guy she's dealing with, and a man is talking about her the way Aisha Curry is talking about Steph Curry, or the way she's carrying herself, then they would really get on they they would really get on his ass. Pause. All right. You just can't really give too many examples that way. Or, I guess the way, you know, some of these women, they don't even say anything. Some of these women, it's like, well, there is nothing for me to say. If I feel this way, which like I said, most American women, it's just they don't come out in public to say anything unless they're trying to play victim. See, she's not even playing victim. There is no way to play victim in a situation like this. You're trying, and it's not even making you look good because you got somebody who has a squeaky clean image. No, I don't think he has any, if barely any, if at all, any tattoos. Right? I haven't even really heard him curse. I don't even think I've seen him take a drink. I think I've seen him at one rap concert, and he was dressed like he was going to church. And I think it was at an E40 concert, but I think it was like a special event where they brought him up on stage. I think it was his birthday or something like that. You don't hear him in any bullshit. He ain't got no side babies. You haven't heard any hip hop hoes say anything about him. It's squeaky clean church boy, right? So it's kind of hard to make yourself look like the victim against him. You couldn't even say, like, you can't even use the word abuse. Nobody would believe you. But I'm glad that women are actually starting to call her out on this. I think women, they kind of, they did the same thing with Will Smith. I think women, they called out Jada Pinkett off of her treatment towards Will Smith also. It's just certain guys that women will call women out for disrespecting their man, right? This is why some women, they don't even say nothing. They're just like, man, I'll take you to court. I'll just get a divorce. What do I have to lose? I have everything to gain and nothing to lose, right? I don't even want the house. You buy me another house. I don't want the stench of his house anywhere near around me. Buy me another house, the same size as this one. Pay me this much every single month, and I keep the kids. That's what women get. And after you buy the house, I keep the kids, and you pay alimony and child support every single month with the number that I wanted. I'm gonna have every YN run through me in this house. That's and women get that. Women get that without having to say anything, without having to bash the man who took care of you, because it kind of looks crazy at the end of the day, right? So without saying anything, they just file for divorce. That's all they do, right? Tiana Taylor filed for divorce. Took motherfucking Iman Shumpert through the ringer. You know what I'm saying? And they'll find, don't matter if they got kids or whatever, they'll find them somebody. There's always a sucker that's willing to get with a single mother, a black single mother. You know what I'm saying? But see, the thing is, it's like you can't even make the move. You said too much. You talking too much. That's the thing with American women. It's they just don't say nothing. Just go to court. Get a lawyer if you're unhappy. Don't say nothing. Motherfucking Haley Bailey. I don't think she said anything. She just got custody of the kid and took it away from DDG. Now, a lot of women seem like they've called her out. Women, they've called her out. They've called motherfuckers like Meg the Stallion out, right? They've called women like that out, but they don't. But no, I take that back. Meg the Stallion, she did a little too much talking and lying and stuff like that. Haley Bailey I haven't heard her really say too much about why'd you separate yourself from DDG. You just did what a lot of women do. Give me a baby. Give me a baby. Okay, I got my baby. Bye. Fuck you. Pay child support. I want to have nothing to do with you. All I wanted was my kid. That's it. See, the actions speak louder than words, whereas like Canadians, their words speak louder than the actions. Aisha ain't put that much action to it, but the tongue is mightier than the sword, as they say. Still, it's still hurtful. All right. Anyways, I'm over and I'm out. You guys take care. Peace.